Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Jonikkala, and today we're checking out Latitude Latin Rock Percussion by Orange Tree Samples. And this is actually very interesting to me because we've demoed some Orange Tree Samples stuff on this channel before. I've talked about them quite often for a good reason, but they are primarily known for their guitar sample libraries, and not just any guitar sample libraries, but frankly the best ones that I've ever played myself. The realism is just something stunning, and even maybe more remarkable than that is the playability, like how these translate from fingers into actually sounding like a guitar. They are absolutely insane in that department. Now, let's actually go to the website here to kind of take you with me. They do have other products or libraries beyond guitars. For example, we have a grand piano here, which I actually would love to check out as well. Americana auto harp. Then we have some flutes. But as you can see, mainly this is guitar-based content. Then we have basses there as well, which, by the way, same thing about those than the guitars. They are absolutely stellar. Electric piano. So they do other things as well. But percussion has not been at the forefront of that. I can't really... Well, there's a kalimba. Is that a percussive thing? We do have a kind of, some percussive, like mallet instruments. So they have marimba. So they've been in that zone, you know. But this is kind of a bigger new thing. Now, when I saw a post about this, or was it an email, something, that they've been working on this for a long time. Now, at that moment, I didn't know this was going to be Latin percussion specifically. They just said it's a big-ass percussive library. I was like, ooh, this should be good. I didn't know it was kind of Latin-focused. But regardless, I got very, very excited because, again, these people just do everything right in this company, and the playability is insane. The sounds are insane. I mean, again, like something like Evolution Songwriter is still one of my favorite, if not my most favorite acoustic guitar sample library. It just sounds, bonkers good. So when this, came into my radar, I was very excited as a drummer, for sure about this. But what is it? Let's dive into it. So, kind of interestingly enough, it's, I guess, kind of Latin rock percussion could be at the subtitle and not the main title. If you look at the image here, that's what it kind of looks like Latitude, and then subtitled Latin rock percussion. So I'm going to go with that interpretation because it seems to jive a bit better. But this is compatible with the free Contact player, so you don't need to have the full version, which is great. Full price, this is going to be $199. Right now, it is $159 US. And I believe this is the intro pricing, and this is going to last, I believe, until the end of this month. So I think it was the 31st of May, if that's even a day. Does May have... I think May has 31 days, right? Yep, it does. So I think that's the case. So if this turns out to be something you're interested in, that's a pretty good slice off of it. Talking about slices, actually, I'm guessing they still have this system, but they have a thing called orange slices, which you get when you buy something. And I think you get like a slice for each dollar spent, I believe. Again, check this info. This is just me kind of, rolling off the top of my head. But I think whatever the ratio is that you get for those, maybe it's 1/10 of that. Well, check it out anyway. Orange slices are actually, because a lot of companies do this, they have some kind of a system of, you buy something and then you get like some amount off your next order, but it never feels like you're actually appreciated. I shouldn't say never. Most of the time, I don't feel like I'm actually appreciated as a customer, because the money you save is kind of ends up being kind of insignificant, and then you're kind of just like pissed off about it. But orange slices actually amount to a good, percentage off of your order. So I should actually check. Let's see if they actually talk about that here. They don't. I think what I need to do is I need to log onto my account and go check it out, and then I can talk a bit more about that. But I do want to talk about it because it's been such a good system so far that I've used it. Like whenever I use them, I feel like, that actually makes a difference, and that feels good, and I feel appreciated as a customer. So I've been loving the system. I actually logged out from here because I didn't want you to see all of my details here, but I'm going to log in and then find the orange slices page and see how that works. All right, so here you can see my account page. Here we have orange slices, but actually before we go into that, and I want to just touch on this from the perspective, I know we're here for the library, but I want to applaud companies for when they do things in a really good way that I wish more did. So they have surveys here, for example, and you get 50 orange slices for that, which we'll find out how much that is. But okay, where do you get your plugin related news? Social media, well, certainly YouTube. I don't really read other music news sources because you're watching the best one right now. The best music tech news empire on the planet. Forums, don't really do that. Newsletter, emails, yep. Social media. Anything else? No, let's go with that. And I get ka-ching, 50 orange slices. Okay, next one. I get 25 for this. If you are, which community forums are you active in? If you aren't active in just any, in any, just write none. LinkedIn musicians, I didn't even know that was a thing. Tells you how good that marketing is going. Just write none in the other box. Okay, well, I don't go to any of these. I will go to them in the future for a reason that I shall talk about in the future. But let's do that. What instruments would you like to see sampled for new freebies? Freebies, that's an interesting question. We're always on the lookout for fun, unusual instruments that haven't been sampled before. Geez. I'm really bad at this because I have more than enough libraries right now. But actually, I'm gonna go with, it's not as much from a freebie angle, but this is from what I'd like to see more in general. So transitional effect libraries. I still think this is underserved as a market. And then I would like to see percussion library made of unusual sources, electronic, mechanical, yeah, something like that. I get 75 orange slices for this. Complete. Okay, so, sad face, we did all of those. Let's go back to my account, and now let's see how much money I made. Well, no, you don't make money. but you might save money. So going to orange slices here, bam. See, I have 311 orange slices, which I can redeem for 31% of my next order. Okay, so they say, I think they should have this somewhere on the site before you have an account. I think this could be very appealing to people. Maybe it is here. I didn't see it with a fast look, which tells me it should probably be more apparent. But I don't know if this only becomes information to you once you're actually on the site with a profile. Maybe they want to keep it that way, but I think this would actually be quite appealing to people to know. It would lower the threshold of purchasing, for sure. For every $1 you spend, you receive an orange slice. Every 10 points equates to 1% discount. Okay, so that's the ratio. And can be accumulated to redeem for up to 50% off for future purchases. Future purchases. When redeeming the maximum number of 500 orange slices, any surplus points will remain in your account. So this is really cool. And I think, at least in the past, I've been able to stack these. So if there's like an intro discount, I can use these on that. So if I were to buy Latitude, for example, I would get 31% off even that price. Not sure about this. Check the details. This is not fact. It's my vague memory from years past. Maybe it's changed. Maybe I was wrong. But I believe that has been the case in the past for me, at least with some orders. To redeem, purchase your cart, and then you can choose whether you want to use your orange slices. Cool. All right. So, very good system. Sorry for the long detour, but again, I love this system. So, just something I want to praise. There's timestamps in the description, so you don't have to bore yourself with that if you're not interested. But as a person who wants to talk about the industry, that just something I wanted to touch on. Let me get a cable for this clock here, because otherwise it's going to run out of battery. There we go. Now I'm not going to run out of time and visual effects here. Cool. Moving on from the pricing, we have some quotes here by Danny Lux. But Danny, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to read your review, so that I'm not going to cloud my own judgment in this case. I will not allow you to influence me, Danny, even if you have a cool surname. Product videos, these have been excellent in the past. So go check those out. I'm sure they cover many things that I won't, such as technical details and how to use these at a sort of a deeper level. We have some audio demos and going into product details. Latitude delivers a massive collection of deeply sampled studio percussion with a total of 376 instruments, often with multiple options for each type of instrument. The library provides a diverse range of traditional and modern sounds. So that's kind of like strikingly far more vast as a description than what I think of like Latin percussion only. The factory presets offer immediate inspiration through ready-to-use grooves and curated ensembles in various styles. The library also includes menus for quickly auditioning all the instrument variations, while kits utilize standard general MIDI drum mapping for immediate familiarity. Okay, so, cool. Because I kind of expected the ensembles to already kind of do that, but I guess the mapping is different. Maybe the content is different as well. The collection spans a wide palette of percussion, congas, bongos, timbales, guiros, cowbells, and much more, providing everything a producer needs for creating authentic Brazilian and Afro-Cuban grooves. Okay, yeah, I guess that name then makes a bit kind of more specific sense. Although a lot of these instruments are can be used in so much more beyond those styles or genres or whatever you want to call them. That's kind of like one of the things where I'm a bit hesitant with the naming, because a lot of people might read this and they're like, well, I don't do Latin rock. And then they're going to look elsewhere. And then they're going to miss out on potentially something amazing. So, but we shall see. We shall see. Its vast assortment of shakers, cajons, mark trees, triangles, and cymbals also make it an essential songwriter's toolkit for rock, pop, R&B, and beyond. Yeah, so I'm glad they note that, because, again, there's a lot of... You can use these instruments in so many different ways. The $40 off introductory discount lasts until May 31st, 2026. And this will not be included in the summer sales that they do, which is another really cool thing that they do, which is basically you can opt in to the summer sale, or at least this is how it has worked before. You can opt in, and the more people opt in, the bigger the discounts become. So the summer is, if you want to save money, the best time to buy Orange Tree Samples stuff. I think they go up to maybe 60% off or something. It's bonkers, but really, really cool. But this won't be a part of that because it's a new product. Advanced Pattern Editor, feature-rich, streamlined editor with an expandable library over 1,500 patterns. Playable rolls, cool. Predictive pre-roll system. Automatically anticipates MIDI notes up to 100 milliseconds, eliminating the need for negative track delay. Interesting. Numerous factory presets, mix-ready mic signals. Cool. So, sample specs. 35.8 gigs, recorded at 48 kilohertz and 24-bit samples. And this is 14.4 gigs in lossless NCW format. Up to 16 round robins and up to 5 dynamics. Interesting. Actually, very interesting combo there. 88,000 samples. I love how this is still something people use, because it's like a detail that interests almost nobody. But if you don't put it there, it can be kind of like... Yeah, when the library gets big, that's when you want to kind of put it out there. But it gives, other than that, like almost no context to almost anybody about anything, unless you do some sampling yourself or you're nerdy about that stuff. Okay, so instruments included. Are you ready for this? I'm going to go through all of them. Pronunciation here is going to be official. Whatever I say, that's how it's said, okay? I don't want any questions or challenges or anything. Agogo bells, bell tree, bongos, bulb horn, kabasa, kaiksa, cajon, karakaksa, castanets, kaksisi, chimes, chukalho, clapper, clav, congas, count off, cowbells, crasher, cricket. One of those bugs. Poor bug. No bugs were harmed making this library. Guica, cymbal, djembe, finger cymbals, finger drum, frame drum, gong, guicharo, guiro, hand claps, handbell, handband, helix bowl. Helix bowl sounds like an artist. My name is Helix Bowl, and I'm here to play you my song. Jingles, Koki Rico, lens drum, maracas, mark tree, mixed bells, ocean drum, octobands, pandero, peng bells, pots. That's a good one. Rain stick, rakatak, ratchet, rattle drum, rebollo, recco, repinique, rigdrum. Yeah, that's it. Rototoms, shaker, shekere, snare, spring drum, steel pan, street can. I feel like I'm gonna mispronounce something and insult somebody very quickly here. Surdo, tam-tam, tambourine, and tambourine. Tantan, temple blocks, thumb pianos. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Timbales, timbalitos, timbao, tongue drum, triangle, tubano, vibratone, vibra-slap, whistle, wind chimes, wind wand. Okay, you fucking lost me there. Wind wand. Wood block. And the easiest one at the end. Segue balde. There you go. Complete list of instruments. What? That wasn't it? Oh my. Okay, yes, I think we have subcategories for a lot of these. I mean, they weren't kidding when they said this is a colossal thing. Apparently they've been working on this for ages. And it just, I don't actually know why. I would actually love to see like a behind or making of video on this because I would love to know why it took so long and why it was so difficult. And of course, product names, brands, musical artists, instrument inventors, and other trademarks are property of their respective owners. There you go. Core team, Chris Polar. Latitude, a Latin rock percussion, was co-produced by Chris Polar. Personally curated the instruments, guided the sample recording process. Nice. Ed Smith. The percussion was performed by Ed Smith. Did he do all of it? A premium session drummer, percussionist, composer, producer. Okay, well, I mean, if he did all of that, that's a very wide range of instruments, and good on you, Ed, for being able to do all of that. I was gonna say Mikael. Mikael Arvold. Michael Arvold. The project was engineered and mixed by Michael Arvold, whose career encompasses a seemingly endless list of notable artists. And some of them are mentioned there. Cool. Licenses, Native Instruments Contact Player. Owning the full version of Contact is not necessary. Nice, nice. NKS ready. Cool. They recommend using Latitude with a complete Control S-Series keyboard for the full experience. As you can see here, I don't have that. But I have a Dopefer here, which I will not trade for anything. I mean, people always ask me about the native instrument keyboards, and I actually love a lot of the features, and I would love a lot of the integrations, but yeah, I don't know. If Native Instruments wants to send me one to test and play, I'm more than up for doing that. To see what I would think and how much I would actually use all the integration and all the features, but don't know. Haven't used them. I think play one somewhere at one point, one of the higher end models. And I remember the keybed being good, but that's all I remember. Available disk space. So you need 30.14 gigs of free disk space during the installation. Total size of the download is 15.07 gigs, and after the installed library occupies 15.07 gigs. Jeez. Importantly, you need player 7.6.0. So you don't need 8 yet for this. Standalone, AAX, native, VST, AU are the formats. And then system needs to be Windows 10 or 11, Mac OS X 12 or newer. And there's the user guide, which we also have, but hopefully we won't need that. I think that's the best experience for everybody. Cool. A very long intro there. Sorry for all the meandering, but I am committed to talking about the stuff that comes up, and hopefully it's interesting or useful to somebody. That's why we have timestamps. This is like a therapy session for me, and everything else is a side thing. Cool. What is the agenda today? We are going to play as much of Latitude to you as possible. And that is going to come in the form of going through as many of these presets as possible. Again, the layout here or the structuring of the library is slightly different. Again, we have the ensembles, we have the grooves, we have a lot of grooves, a lot of grooves, kits, menus. So obviously this is a colossal library, which actually, now that I think about it, the size of this is actually very commendable considering how much there is here. Obviously, percussive libraries take up a bit less space, usually, but 5 dynamic, I think they said up to 5 dynamics, depending probably on what it is. So still seems like, 15 gigs for this seems very low to me. So we are going to go through this in some kind of an order for sure. I'm thinking, how do we want to do this? I'm guessing here that we would probably let's come to that soon. But the agenda: play as much of this to you as possible, give you an idea of what it sounds like, a very broad idea, and then you can decide whether it is for you or not. If you're looking for a more technical overview of all of the technical aspects of this, best to go and check out the Orange Tree Samples videos, because I'm sure they cover those the best. I'm just here to play as much of this for you as possible so you can build an idea of whether this is for you. In terms of what you'll be hearing today, it's only Latitude in action. I don't add any effects on top of it of any sort. No EQ, no compression, no reverb, no nothing. I have a limiter on my master bus to keep an eye on the output level for this video so that it's enjoyable and balanced for your listening experience. That being said, most of the time we're not even hitting the limiter. I'm simply controlling the gain output and keeping an eye on it to make the level, again, consistent for this video. That said, this is a percussive library, which means the transient spikes are going to have more energy, thus be louder than the rest of the body of the sound. So in some cases, I will have to catch some peaks on the limiter to make the overall level of this as consistent as possible for you. That being said, the limiter is set to be as transparent as possible, so you should hear nothing most of the time, or very little, if anything. And certainly if I'm hearing any sort of crushing or limiting that is audible to me, then I'll adjust and let you know, most likely as well. What else? Transparency wise, Orange Tree Samples did send me this copy, so first of all, thank you to them for doing so. Also, I am being compensated for my time that it takes to check out Latitude, as well as do all the production and editing that relates to making these videos. That being said, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. In terms of this being a blind demo, it is. I've only played a couple of notes here to make sure that we're good to go for the video recording. But other than that, this is completely blind. I haven't played any of this myself yet. I haven't listened to any of the related videos, or even, I don't think I've even heard any snippets from any social media posts or anything like that. So you will be getting my authentic, full first impressions of this. Is there anything else we want to cover here? I don't think so. And if we bump into something I don't know, we have the manual, so we can go there together and learn. Or you can tell me in the comments, Marcus, you are a bloody idiot, and you should have known it because X, Y, and Z, okay? For this video, you might be hearing some of the fan action in the background because we are entering summertime. and it gets really hot in the studio. So I do have a fan on for my camera. I don't have one for myself. Camera, Marcus, you know how it goes. So you might hear some of that in the background. I'm filtering it the best I can, but you might hear some of that, possibly. I am lacking water right now, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some water from upstairs, and then we'll be getting right into it. Okay, so let's start with the grooves, just to give you an idea of what this thing sounds like as a whole from a sort of step back, bigger perspective. Because once I start playing these finger drumming style, I'm just going to be able to play the kind of things that I play, and especially when it comes to music in these styles and genres, I'm probably not going to be able to represent them in the best possible light or sort of style genre specific in that sort of a way. And I'm going to probably lean more into what I would do with them. So I thought starting with the grooves would be the best way to give you kind of a bigger picture overall view of how this thing sounds like, and also get in a lot of those patterns, those grooves that I personally cannot play. And then we're going to jump into I think, ensembles, and after that, probably kits. And the menu things are for individual drums, which we're probably not going to have enough time to dive into, but these are very useful when you just want to bring a single percussive instrument or element into your track. But since we're going through the kits and the ensembles, we're probably going to touch on a lot of these individual percussion things as well. But the menus give you more control to go for those individual things. But we're going to start with the grooves. As you can see, there's a lot of them, so we're not going to play all of those. But I'm going to select some from all of these different styles, and hopefully through that get a good bird's eye view of what this thing sounds like. So when you load it up, we have Afro-Cuban Bolero 100 BPM here. So obviously the tempos here are kind of general suggestions. You're not locked into them because these are not audio-based loops. So what basically the engine is doing here is taking different patterns that it's making this engine play. So it loads up these individual instruments that you can see here on this list here. So for example, here we have bongos, congas, hi-hat, maracas, and then some timbales. And for each of these, it has patterns, and what it's doing when I'm triggering this single key. It's actually playing those patterns in this engine. And this is the best way to do it, because then you have more flexibility. You can change instruments, you can change patterns. It's simply playing the samples as if you or someone else was playing them with your fingers on the keyboard. But obviously this approach allows you to use, like I said, all kinds of patterns and kind of style appropriate, genre appropriate patterns that you yourself couldn't perhaps play. But this approach gives maximum flexibility. So if I change the tempo, not to 14 BPM, but 140 BPM, and play this, you can hear it that it's faster because this is locking into my DAW tempo. I'll go 160. So you can hear that it changes based on my DAW tempo. Super, super convenient, very, very good system to have. And here, as you can see, when I'm selecting each individual instrument, I can see the zones associated here on the keyboard bed in different colors. I'm not sure if there's one view where you could see all of them simultaneously. Usually when a sample library does that, you obviously, if here, for example, yellow overlaps with green, then it's going to combine those colors into a different color. So because zones can overlap as well. It seems like they're avoiding that here, although I'm not sure if you can, from somewhere, adjust that. I couldn't see a way to do that. But again, something to consider, because when you come in here, you might think that these are just the zones associated with the whole groove, but it's actually per instrument within this group. And here again, if you want to load something in here, you go to an empty slot and you can scroll here. One thing I noticed that I can't scroll by, the scroll wheel in the mouse. So I have to drag and scroll, which is, that could be improved. But what I love about this is the pictures, or the icons. I guess these are pictures. You can also favorite those, which is super, super nice. Because this way I don't have to read. Assuming I know these percussive instruments, I can just go and look for the thing that I like. So this is a really nice interface thing. But also it says what it is, which is super convenient. And it actually says the category that it is and then the specific of the instrument. There's a lot to scroll here, as you can see, because it's a big library. So I wish maybe this could be a bit faster. The scrolling feel here is a bit kind of like, what's the word? Like kind of gel-like. Maybe it could be faster. And again, if I scroll fully here, I run out of space on my screen to scroll. I guess they did it because they want it to be kind of smoother. You can also click on these arrows here, which is actually all right as well. But just a small interface thing to do. But I love the pictures. That's a really smart decision. Can you make them smaller? I wish you could make, because these images are kind of big. So maybe if I could have 5 images, make the grid bigger, so then I would have to do less scrolling. That would also be really cool. But that's how the groove thing kind of is built or put together. Yeah, you got instruments on the left. Here you have mix window where you can control different mic things here. One of the things on the interface that I see is you can see the natural mic here being grayed out. So intuitively, when I see that, I'm thinking that it's not available because it's grayed out. Because if it was off, I would just expect kind of maybe the colors to dim in this orange area, or the power to be off. But as you can see, if I press on that on the vintage, it grays out. So this being grayed out doesn't mean it's not available. It just means it's off. So maybe I would change that from an interface perspective, because that can be a bit misleading. But I think I saw somewhere that you can have also less mic options. So then they're just not here if you don't have them available. But something I wanted to touch on as well. Here you can choose patterns for the individual instrument here. So you can see bongo selected. So you see the bongo patterns here for bolero. There's some more mapping stuff here. Again, this is something that Orange Tree Samples do really, really well. They have a lot of articulations and expressions, etc. Like in the guitar sample libraries, there's basically everything is covered that you might want to do with a guitar. You just need to make sure that they're mapped to the right things on your instrument. The presets are so good on the guitars. They are kind of, you just need to play and you get an idea of what it does. But if you want to do something else, you can jump into the mappings and change some of the articulations or other things there. Then you have a setup page with dynamics, rolls, fine-tuning, pre-roll. So pretty straightforward. Down here, you have a mix window, close mic, room mic, FX, bus, and then a main. Cool. Simple enough. So let's play some of these. I'm going to preview because we have so many grooves. I'm going to preview them first from the browser and then select some based on the ones that I'm particularly interested in, or I think they, present things in a good light. So let's start browsing. All right, this is Marcus from the future, because unfortunately during the first recording of the playing portion of this video, the interface of the virtual instrument froze up and it doesn't update in real time in terms of what's happening here or what you're hearing from the speakers. And that's not ideal at all. So that unfortunately means we have to re-record at least most of the playing portions of this video. And I wanted to be transparent about this to you so that you know that the playing portion of this isn't actually the first impression that I get out of this library. However, the intro I'm going to keep as it is, and the outro as well, where I give you my original first impressions summary, I'm going to also keep that in. So you are going to get my original authentic first impressions anyway. And it doesn't really matter that much. Obviously, I know my opinions about this library, but when it comes to the specifics of me responding to what I'm hearing, a lot of it, obviously, I can't remember because there's, well, overall, it's tough to remember, hundreds of things that you go through and play. But obviously, this library specifically is quite big, so I'm not going to remember absolutely everything. And even if I did, it's a different day, so I'm going to respond differently to certain things. That's just the way our brain works. We perceive things slightly differently. But I just wanted to be transparent about that so you know where we stand. And hopefully this time the interface updates and doesn't get frozen. It's an issue with my video capturing software. It has nothing to do with the instrument itself. It's just whether the video capturing software gets jumbled up or doesn't. It is sometimes a bit finicky, unfortunately. That being said, let's first of all jump into the grooves. Again, I wanted to start with this to give you kind of perhaps the biggest overarching, most refined idea of what this library sounds like. And after the grooves, we're going to go into the ensembles, and then we go into the kits, and then we're probably very briefly going to touch on the menus. The menus, again, specifically include specific individual instruments instead of being in an ensemble configuration or a groove configuration. But without further ado, let's start going through the grooves. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to preview the groove from the Contact 8 browser here. And when I hear something that I want to dive deeper into myself, I'll open it up and play a bit more of it. Cool, let's get into it. So as you can hear, a lot of very traditional things. Obviously, it says, we're in the Afro-Cuban portion here. We have bolero, cha-cha-cha. Well, not cha-cha-cha, cha-cha, apparently. This is the first one I want to fire up here. I am going to try and model, well, not try, I'm going to model the tempos, the suggested tempos that it gives to me. And then I'm probably going to change it to something that I sort of feel more groovy with. So let's go into this. So what I really like about this one is the slight dragging of the rhythm. Obviously, that's very appropriate to the style, although I'm not an expert, but I do recognize it. And I actually love that kind of there's like a slight dragging thing, but it's in symmetry with the rest of the rhythm, which makes it still repetitive and therefore intentional as well. I do want to try this slightly faster. Not that much. quite a rich rich solo going on there for the, I believe, the bongos. Yeah, very cool. So again, the different red keys give you different rhythm patterns. You can obviously go in there and change those as well, but we're just gonna stick to the presets for now. Yeah, this is another one where the rhythm is slightly, it sounds like it's kind of, sluggish at certain points, but it's actually completely intentional for the style. So this is marked as 140 BPM, which is very fast. Yeah, I just love that kind of rhythm. It's kind of like actually pretty metal, some more technical rhythmical metal does that a lot. So I wonder what the bridge is. Do they get the influence from somewhere else, or is it, because obviously these kind of patterns happen in other musical traditions as well. Okay, this is marked as 152. That's very specific, by the way. Yeah, I think that probably, to my taste, worked a bit better, a bit slower. Yeah, I'd probably err on the side of writing something around that tempo. I feel like that could really use something on the top end. Obviously, these are going for like mainly covering the sort of like typical traditional needs or styles. So obviously, I'm not writing anything like that right now. So I'm thinking like, what would I do with something like this? So that's not a criticism. It's more like a curiosity for sure. So very dense layering of rhythm there, and also like that's very complex stuff. What was I gonna say here? Let me play it a bit more again. Yeah, I prefer this higher BPM. It says 96, which is this. I mean, I love how that a conga coming in. It's like, again, we already have that slightly sluggish style. Well, actually not. That's very symmetrical. Again, I like this tempo a lot higher. I think that it could be perceptional that the conga kind of changes the very on-beat stuff. But I think it does shift a bit when they come together. But I love that kind of, again, there's a bit of a drag in the timing there. Interesting, it seems to preview all of these beats at 120 BPM, probably. Even when they have like another example BPM there. I wonder whether they could, if they're able to change that, maybe there's no way around it in Kontakt. But if they can change it, it would be nice to have the previews set at the example BPM. Yeah, very nice. This has such a like clean, precise sound, but it's not like over processed. It's all very natural and raw, but kind of like polished raw. That's my definition of it. Yeah, I actually remember this one from my first pass on this video. Really like this one. It has a very nice, like very subtle drag on it, but it sounds great. Yeah, great percussive detail there on the second rhythmic pattern. So what I like about those rhythmic patterns that they have selected here, the changes are for the most part like quite subtle. They are definitely like clearly audible, but it's like slight variation that you would actually hear in this style and by actual players. So you could, in some of these ones, you can kind of throw them around quite freely. Obviously, you would want to design how you put them together ultimately, but you could create very interesting variety very easily by shifting around them. There tends to be quite a few of these. I mean, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. The number of patterns here by default is pretty low. Some of them have more, some of them have less. But I do kind of like, you can obviously do more of your own patterns. So these are probably just to get you started for the most part and to cover like basic basis. But then you can, of course, go in there and create your own patterns here as well. So it is something to keep in mind. But probably out of the box, I would probably love to see more of them, like maybe an octave's worth. Obviously, too much can be, it kind of messes with your head and can throw you off. But yeah, like some of these only have like maybe 2 or 3. I don't know why. Maybe again, because these are, to be fair, these are describing very specific style genres and types of I don't know what these would be called, like musical rhythmical styles. So I understand that they wouldn't want to call it that and then include something that doesn't typically fall under that definition. And that's probably what they've been thinking about here. So they include as many as they find to be appropriate for that style name, I would be guessing. But yeah, you should know you can go in there and do more of your own stuff. So as you can hear there, that was a good example of the variety. Like the core of it stays the same, but there's just a bit of like shifting fun patterns in there. Very, very much liking that. What was there was something I wanted to touch on regarding this. Yeah, I guess it's just, you can really move here quite freely and get like meaningful, very refined, subtle musical differences. You would actually hear, because I've been around percussionists a fair bit. I've been somewhat educated in that area. So they do sound superbly good from that perspective. Realism and all that, like those would be very difficult to play on the keyboard. And I don't even know, like these are really, really well programmed. I would struggle to find myself in a position writing in these styles and say, yeah, I'll do it myself, because I wouldn't say that it would be better. It could be different. It would be different for sure. But if you're going for like accurate, then definitely I would go for these first and last. I like those sticks a lot. Yeah, again, so here we only get one key here, which is kind of a shame for me because I would love to hear more patterns out of the gate. Again, I can obviously go in there and create more, but cool. So that was the Afro-Cuban grooves. Let's go into Brazilian grooves. Yeah, I remember this one. This is a really good one. Yeah, I love that snare coming in here. It's kind of just an interesting combination. And then I love this kind of rhythm throw off. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that's probably a bit fast. I mean, they obviously say 96 BPM. I'm sticking around a slightly higher BPM on average here, because it just is more to my taste. I feel like a lot of these grooves work better faster, but obviously it comes down to how you want to write. But I'll try and present the original suggested BPM a bit more than I have. Obviously, it completely changes the character here. Oh yeah, this was one of my favorites in here. I love the bottom end on here. So well, we're at 110, so that's close enough in terms of BPM. First of all, the low end puffiness and softness here is super nice. It's very deep, very big, establishes itself, but it doesn't bother any of the frequency areas above that. And again, the slight kind of draggy sluggishness of it is just beautiful. Yeah, I love that higher thing. I think it's the Guica. I think it is. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Yeah, this definitely, to my taste, needs something faster. They say even slower. This would be 96 BPM. I definitely hear it more on this loop, because I hear the bells, I guess, or sounds like a cowbell. But yeah, but this definitely works faster as well. I mean, listen to the low end on that. It says 76 BPM. That's quite something. I'm noticing something about the timing of the keys, because sometimes when I think I'm pressing it on the beat, it kind of takes a break in between. So I think you kind of have to go in a bit early so that it kind of knows to start the next pattern on the next beat. Let me test that theory. Yeah, I think that's how it works. Yeah, I mean, again, the balance is so like organic, open, effortless, but it's all very polished. Everything has its own place. So it's a very interesting blend of polish and kind of purity and a clean sound, but still being very natural. Uh, Very impressive. Yeah, the BPM works obviously for this bossa nova very nicely. Yeah, very cool. Also, one of the things I should mention here, which I did mention during my first pass of filming this, is I love how long the patterns are, because we're not this is not an audio loop. This is the engine playing these actual individual instruments on the keybed, as you can see, hopefully this time, on the contact keybed area there. And that means the patterns can actually be longer. So with a lot of audio loops, they don't tend to be super long because it doesn't really work that well, and obviously takes up more space. But with patterns, when MIDI is triggering these instrument notes, the patterns can be longer. So let me try and demonstrate. Let's just play the first pattern here. So yeah, there you could hear some of that snare coming at the end. Let's see if some of these have a bit more complex stuff in there. Okay, so a similar thing. But on some of these, on my first pass doing this, I noticed that I can hold a key for quite a long time and it's still going to give me new things further out into the future than what I typically, on average, hear audio loop-based libraries do, which is really nice because it's a kind of a important way of bringing some variety into your rhythm patterns. Liking that snare. So it says 152 BPM, which is very fast. Yeah, I like those. This is a very nice, I mean, I love those rim shots on the snare coming in there. This is very fast. I mean, intuitively, I would do something slower, but it works. Yeah, there are the slight details in the snare do a lot. I'm just looking at how much contact is working there, like how rich those patterns are. It kind of makes my head dizzy. Also, the slight sluggishness there made me think I was having a stroke, or my sense of time was completely warped. That's such an interesting phenomenon, I guess is the word. Yeah, that's very cool. That's a very kind of specific, it's kind of like there's that drag, but then there's also a bit of like shiftiness to it. So that kind of makes you like, I don't know, it screws with my sense of time perception almost in the best possible fashion. I mean, that's a classic, so we got to check that out. Yeah, I mean, if you're going for like, you need that authentic stuff, I mean, this is a no-brainer. All right, getting into some, it says pop. Yeah, this tempo has a more like a stompy kind of a thing. I'm going to bump it up slightly. Yeah, if you're looking for that sound, this is, I can't think of a better, faster way of getting there. And again, I personally love that it's not, like the sound here is a perfect balance of the natural sound of it, the open sound of it, but it's polished, you know, it's ready to go. So, and also if you want to make it more processed, this is really the ideal place for the sound to sit, because it sounds natural, but it's really, really, you know, clean and polished. So that's a really good place if you want to add some more grit or compression on it, for example, you can. Yeah, that's a deep sound. I mean, you gotta love that. I think that it's the Kuika, I think, making that. That's just it's such an interesting instrument. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, this is like more full-blown samba. I want to definitely up the tempo on this one. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I'm going to bump up the tempo even more. Okay, that's too much. I think probably 120 is pretty ideal for what I'm after. Yeah, that hits hard. I don't actually remember this so much from the previous pass. So maybe this is something I kind of skipped as sort of, it's samba. We went through one samba, but again, there's a lot of variety in how you do it. I love this because it's kind of like just like this crazy carnival party thing. And I just love all the, well, first of all, again, there's that slight kind of draggy and shiftiness about it. But then all the flavors, I love how these different patterns vary. What is sort of put in the spotlight? Like, is it the cowbell thingy, majingy, or is it called the go-go bells here? Maybe. Not so well versed in those. And then it's suddenly that kind of a snare-ish thing. So it kind of shifts around and it kind of puts the spotlight in different places. So there's a natural kind of dialogue between these elements. That's really, really well done. I mean, this sounds equally as fun. Yeah, I can hear this is a bit too fast. Okay, 130 bouts. There we go. Yeah, a lot of fun. Oh yeah, this was one of my favorites. This jams or grooves so hard. Yeah, that's too fast. So they say 92 BPM as a suggestion. Which 100% works really well. It gives more like a hip-hop vibe. I would actually be very interested in hearing some good hip-hop vocals on something like this. This works faster as well. So this is 120. Yeah, maybe a notch down. Yeah, I mean, these grooves are just brilliant. And again, that ready sound, but it's natural, but it's big, it's polished, it's precise. Very, very cool. Oh yeah, another one of my favorites. Yeah. I mean, patterns that are authentic to the style, but also groovy as heck and very interesting and a lot of fun. Like fun is a big thing for me overall, but especially for if I was doing music in this style. So going into groove, Caribbean or Caribbean. Which one is it? I don't know. Yeah, that snare sounds really crispy. Ooh, I love that. It sounds like, yeah, frame drum. Cool. I love frame drums. They're like one of the best instruments of all time. Not even just percussion, but just the sound is so, puts you in a trance. I mean, that's a tight sound. I mean, again, I like how the low end sits. It's so like soft and puffy. Sounds like an interesting pairing of elements. I must admit, not a big reggae person, but hey, we played the reggae beat, so. Yeah, really great. I mean, these groove so much. That's really the best part. Obviously, they're called grooves, but unfortunately, a lot of libraries, they're just beat patterns and they don't end up actually grooving. So. Man, flamenco rhythms go hard. That's very cool, actually. Kind of surprised there are so few. I mean, this sounds like pretty advanced flamenco to me, and not very like the first easiest version that I'd go in terms of rhythmic pattern. All right, so these are kind of like polar versions of these. Sounds like fun. Ooh, I like that. I want to up the tempo here. Oh, it didn't actually pick up I must have misclicked. There we go. $180 BPM. That's crazy. It sounds like some kind of a archaic punk type of drumming. Yeah, nice feel to that. It sounds interesting. A very, very deep low end on that one. I'm trying not to do too much repetition over some of the genres we've done in the other or already. So then going into groove smith area. All right, the last part of the grooves is called songwriter. So let's have a listen at those. Seems to have a very interesting drag. So this is marked as 90 BPM. Yeah, I can see that. The shifting of it becomes interesting when it's faster as well. 72 BPM, that's very slow. I see it. I see it. These kind of interestingly work at a very vast range. Yeah, I do see the songwriter angle from this tempo perspective. These are quieter on average than the other categories. That's a groove. That's dirty in a very interesting way. Let's try this faster. Yeah, I like that. It's a super interesting groove. A lot of fun. I like that. It works so differently at different BPMs. Yeah, at this tempo, kind of like a backing track kind of a thing. Then at 120. The backing track to a bank heist preparation. Well, that's a big sound. I love that snare. It's sounding really good. At this tempo, kind of like we're doing the preparations to go to war, sir, and they're sharpening their swords or something. And then here. Yeah, groovy as heck. Yeah, that's like, I don't know what to compare that to, but it sounds like a party. That sounds like a lot of fun as well. Yeah, beautiful layering, beautiful progression in these patterns as you go through them. Kind of like a misty preparation style. And then you can, let's bump this up. Maybe a bit too fast. Yeah, beautiful. Polyrhythmic shakers. Yeah, these are a lot of fun. I actually probably missed that on my last pass. That's very cool. Again here, around 70 BPM. Yep, and then you could do something like this. Okay, I was muted. So that one had beautiful, like a lot of those instruments in that last groove can be typically quite harsh, have like a brittle, kind of too sparkly kind of a top end. Again, there, a very beautiful, open, breathing tone works super well for those instruments. Okay, so this was the groove section here. Next up, I think I'm gonna restart the whole system so we don't get another frozen interface here. I think last time a part of the issue was some of the buffer changes we had to do in the DAW, and then they kind of didn't sync up with my video capturing software. So I'm gonna reboot everything, change the buffer size of my DAW to something smaller, and I'll be playing those, because the smaller the buffer, the faster the response time is going to be here, as we're going to be playing manually from now on. And for the grooves, again, you want to have a larger buffer size going on, because this instrument is indeed playing all of these individual instruments in real time, as you saw on the keyboard, which means there's a lot of tiny actions going on. And if you have a teeny tiny buffer because you thought you were playing drums, well, I mean, here the instrument is doing the playing, so you need a bigger buffer size so you don't get CPU clipping or CPU spikes, because there's so many commands going on. It's going to need a bit more of a buffer to work with those. So just something you should know about the grooves. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and restart everything, and we'll be back with the ensembles next up. Well, bam! Okay, we're back. So moving into the ensembles, seems like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of those. And I think we should be able to have a look at all of those. So I have Americana folk roots loaded up here. Anytime I hear folk, I'm pretty excited. So let's press all of these keys at first. Obviously, it's a selection of individual instruments, which you can see listed here. And we'll see how that sounds like, and I'll try and put together some kind of a beat. Actually really like that tone. So that's a African Kluwak seed rattle, which I totally knew already. Very familiar with that African Kluwak seed rattle. Pull down this limiter just a bit. Kind of tricky to find a good level. Obviously, the high transient energy is going to be clamped down a bit more, but we'll try and find a good balance here. I mean, this sounds so good. Bamboo Club. I'm going to bolster the volume here even just a bit. It seems like the ensembles are on average a bit quieter than the grooves. I mean, I love the sound of this. It's kind of like has that kind of what do you call the rain pipe? What is it called? Rain thingy. But this is a lot nicer. This is a lower, clunkier kind of a the rattling type of a thing. I also love the variety on here because you can hear that it distinctively is a different sample, but it's all still trying to do the kind of the same hit. You know, the intent behind there is still the same and kind of part of the end result as well, I guess. But it has a beautiful sense of variety here. That must have been pretty tricky to choose the right set of samples to create that impression, but have the variety. It actually creates interesting kind of like a movement, like a washy type of a thing that shifts beautifully randomly. I like that a lot. Also, this dark side cajon. Cajon? I don't know how that's pronounced, but Moravian dark side cajon. Yeah, very cool. Super nice. Also, I mean, again, so open, pure, but still natural sounding. Yeah, anything like short, snappy is working super nicely here. It doesn't have any sense of like harshness or brittleness. Next up, let's go to Brazilian samba. Bring down, I don't want to slam it on the limiter as much there. Yeah, even 128 size buffer isn't quite fast enough. I tried 64, but I did see some random CPU clips every once in a while. It is such a small buffer size. I don't want to risk clipping this, but this does slightly, there's a slight lag. Ultimately, when you do faster stuff, you feel it a lot more. And to those who don't understand what that is, I'm talking about the DAW buffer size, nothing to do with the instrument itself, just something we should be adjusting in the DAW to make the buffer size kind of fit what we're doing right now. So when I'm playing faster, you want the buffer size to be smaller. But again, I don't want to cause any clipping in the instrument itself. So, which can sometimes happen in the CPU clips. If there's too much stuff happening at too small of a buffer size. Yeah, this snare sings beautifully when you hit it really hard. It has that kind of slammy type of a thing. Yeah, that responds really well to, oftentimes they do a lot of like flam type of stuff with that. And this sounds exactly right. Yeah, the buffer isn't quite small enough for me. We're doing a lot of limiting there because that's a very transient sound. Let's go around there. Very nice sounding bells. Again, those can get easily very kind of harsh and annoying. But everything here has like it's beautifully crystal clear and polished, but it has a like warmth to it. It doesn't get annoying at any point. This is where we get to the cuica, the very farty, squeaky instrument. That's the limiter clipping there. These are very interesting sounds, to say the least. Some of those effects. I would love to know what the history of that instrument is, because it is like a squeaky fart machine, ultimately. But I really love, actually, the sound of it. It's really interesting, kind of almost like something scraping across something, like something rubbery, something wet, maybe on glass or something. It's very, very, very unique. Next up, classic Afro-Cuban. I mean, this extends even 2 octaves beyond my keyboard configuration here. Yeah, very transient notes, so we're getting a lot of, a bit too much contribution from the limiter here. I think it's, yeah, very clearly coloring that. Yeah, the limiter causes a bit of distortion there at the top, but Otherwise, it would be superbly quiet for this video. 60s Tito Brass Timbales, low hit. Again, very beautiful open cowbell. Doesn't sound like honky or too pushy at all. Very nice to have like different flavors of cowbell. Also, sounds very trivial, but it's really not. Like if you need a cowbell and you just don't have a fitting one in your sample set pool, it's actually very useful to have a good range of options to use for that. Let's go to the next ensemble. This is 5/0 toms. I love how these actually have some proper resonance in them as well. You should do stuff like that. It's, pretty hard to play as you're moving back and forth, but I would do like parts at a time, usually. It depends on how good you are at playing, obviously. Yeah, that's a really good set of things to have. I love rototoms myself, so really happy to have them in here. These are actually, like, they can get super, super pushy as a percussive instrument. So these are actually, there we go. They have the nice snappiness, the resonance. So I would say all of the good and none of the bad. So it's actually a pretty unique tone here. It's sort of, how should I put it? It's a bit more, maybe darker, slightly subdued, but this is actually super snappy, kind of a smack. And then you get that resonance there. So it's a very unique and very, very good tone for rototones. Yeah, very good. Next up, something called the Grand Palace. These finger cymbals sound so good. I do remember this from my first pass of filming this, that they're like super pure. That's an instrument that easily sounds really, really, really super annoying and very harsh and pushy. But this is just like, obviously we do have a bit of reverb on this ensemble kit here. I could actually, I'm gonna turn off the effects bus here. Obviously that instrument is going to have that resonance, but as far as like an open breathing kind of angelic quality to it, this is the best I've ever heard. I love it. So hit with motion, which apparently understandably brings that kind of modulation to it naturally. I love that kind of slightly dissonant sound. Cool, very nice bell tree. Cool. Light samba. The separation here and how they retain that transient energy there on the hit is quite remarkable. I really like when they put sticks on the black keys. Beautiful low end, kind of like boomy, pillowy low, warm, very soft. some of that low end does partially clip the limiter in there, but super nice. I love that low end boominess there. Very well done. I'm not using it in a very samba fashion, but kind of shows how, what this thing can do. Oh yeah, I love this patch here. So this is a mixed bell set. I love this stuff here. I actually love to take this instrument and map it to fully like pitched, sample it, and have this be like a fully pitched instrument here. So a finger tap versus a large mallet hit. I love this large mallet hit. Beautiful resonance here, almost like holographic. As genuine as you hit it, you feel like you get the kind of resonance response that you would get from an actual cymbal or a bell. That wah hit actually works really nicely. So this is a helix bowl. That is the limiter clipping there a bit. Let me pull that back. I love the sound of this. It's kind of like something you could do with a bunch of effects and other things, but having it as an organic thing is different. You get that kind of rattling, rustle, mechanical thing. Very interesting tone. Next up, New Age Rainforest. Reminds you of a track, doesn't it? Beautiful tone. Actually want to hear this without the effects. Okay, so there's something else in there. So this ocean drum is really cool. Again, it's a sound that you can do in a bunch of different ways, but having it come from a instrument source like that just gives it tiny different tonal differences that might be relevant to your track. So you could do all kinds of sound design, atmospheric stuff with that. That's the limiter crapping out due to that low end. I was going to say it sounds exactly like a pot, and it is. Again, I would love to see more libraries like actually sample just stuff, just things like pots or anything. Like there's so many things that sound interesting, just objects in your house. Again, what's remarkable about this, it's kind of like a more distant sound, but it has such a clear, distinct, like transient portion to it, and it sounds really smacky. So paired with the stick rim shot, they sing beautifully together. Very cool. Soft songwriter. Again, anything like short and snappy just sounds so good. Yeah, beautiful. I love pitched stuff like that. Cool. Let's go to Tiki Tacky Pop. Okay, so you got some kind of those combination of tools there. West African Jam. Yeah, that's definitely, it's such a resonant sound that it's gonna clip the limiter. I'm to get some kind of a decent level here. Otherwise, you hear that distortion comes from the limiter. I'm just gonna give you like okay, I got a couple of dBs there space. This is what it sounds like on its own. But if you allow me to tolerate some, this will clip the limiter, but bear with me. Yeah, it distorts a lot, but very tough to pair the real sound and the level there for you for this. Because again, there's a lot of resonance, which takes up a lot of space on a limiter. Yeah, I love this sound. I love using this seed rattle thing here, like as a hi-hat thing. I think I came up with a half decent groove with this on the previous pass. Maybe I'll add it in here if I remember. But yeah, I don't seem to be hitting that same groove here. I do remember using that there. So let me try and see if I can cook something up. Seems a bit too quiet to me though. Yeah, I love this. I love how the rattling thing it always hits on the note that you're aiming for, but it kind of like shifts and moves around in the best possible fashion. Really, really liking that. Cool. Next up, we'll go to kits. Yeah, I think for the kits, what I'm going to do based on my previous performance here of trying to re-record this kit section, I think I'm going to leave in the kit section where I'm actually playing it. I feel like my playing was just a lot better on my first pass here. And I guess in the edit, I'll just update on the screen which one of the kits is being played, because my playing here wasn't just, I don't think, up to par, trying to re-record this. I think my nervous system is pretty messed up from yesterday. I had a bit of a procedure at the hospital, and I think I'm just like completely, I don't know, drained from that. So next up, we're going to play all of the kits. Unfortunately, the interface is not going to be updating there in real time for you. There's not a ton to see visually there on the screen. As you can see here in the blue, we have the kick, orange, the snare, cymbals. This is a very typical general, well, actually identical, pretty much typical MIDI key layout here. So not a ton you're missing. I'm not going in there and tweaking things. So hopefully this will be a kind of a happy medium, happy balance between things for you. Hopefully that sounds good. Let's jump into the kit playing. Jump into the kits. And there are more of those. We might have to do a bit of selecting here. But let's actually preview them and then pick based on that. Okay, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to match that groove, but I mean, that sounds really good. Ooh. Same thing about the kick here. Like, it's very low-end puffiness. Like, it sweeps so nicely there down below and doesn't get in the way of anything else. That is a good ride. Istanbul, well, of course it is. 22-inch ride. That's so beautiful. This hi-hat sounds fantastic as well. Sabian 18-inch sick hi-hat. 18, am I reading that right? It is. Sounds beautiful. The snare is a bit louder than I would like it to be. Well, that's very nice. We can control top and bottom. That's very good. I think the character of it is a bit pushier than I would pair with the kick and the cymbals, but Yeah, very nice. I love the cymbals. They're super, super good. The kick also, the snare got better with a bit of a balancing there, but that's just a subjective call. Let's go to the next one. Jeez, those grooves groove so much. This makes me want to go in here and select some patterns for these kits, which I'm sure you could do. But that's, yeah, those sound really good. I think they should actually add some kit grooves in here based on this, because those previews sound insanely good. That's super nice. Pairs so well together. Very snappy, nice ambience. I feel like I spent my energy on the first pass. Cool, very nice. I mean, those grooves are so good. I wish we could do some kit grooves here, but I mean, you can if you go into the patterns there. But yeah, I think they should add those to the default preset kit grooves as well. Yeah, very nice. Snap. It's super like snappy, clear. Oh, I mean, that grooves so nicely. This finger doesn't work like that. Anyway, again, super clear, snappy, very nice. Very nice kick. Yeah, those rim shots are really, really good. It's just a bit harder for me to play those, but I mean, they snap really well. Very cool. I love that more resonant snare. It's so interesting to hear like so much of the drum kit stuff come forth here, because it's not exactly what I would expect going into this, but what it's revealing itself to be is there's like a fully fledged drum kit sound lineup in here as well. And if you like this enough, it could be the only reason you get this, and you can kind of treat all the other percussive as like a really nice extra in your arsenal. But I mean, let's continue checking out the drum kits, and I'll kind of make that statement when we come to it. Oh yeah, that kick snare combo. That kick is very unique. It kind of sounds like kind of puffy and very unassuming, but then you get like a big low end in the back. Excellent snare. That's pretty funny because it's taking the same pattern there, feeding it into gongs and bells. So that's sounds like a lot of fun. I think we do need to check some of the gongs out here because we haven't. Actually very impressed by the low rumbling there. Super powerful. It doesn't quite like splash into the top and kind of aggressive edge. But you could combine those with these ones. These are beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Immediately think of Ghost in the Shell. Yes? Yes, Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, those are very, very nice. Very nice crispy snare. Cool. Lovely rubbage. Well, that sounds really like nicely trashy in the best way. Very cool. I like that these have like distinctive different tones, that they're I'm not hearing like a ton of repetition. It's like I'm genuinely being offered like different sort of perspectives on the drum kit. I love that they actually did a really low gritty type of thing. I think those previews really show a lot better than I can do here. Just like all the textural richness and dynamics that come out of these. Again, the kick, it sounds so kind of unassuming, but it sits perfectly in that beautiful controlled low end, which again is like warm and puffy and full. And I love this. I guess it says slap top cajon. I'm trying to get it right. Ish. Kind of like, I love the combination there. These are very, very well paired in these kits. Very nicely done. Love that snare. The kick there is very nice. Beautiful amount of resonance. Beautiful snare kick combo there. I mean, obviously they are not from a drum kit in that sense, but wow, that feels completely surreal in the best possible way. This would be really good for, well, a number of things, but I'm thinking kind of like a trance, like, kind of like rich shamanic ritual thing. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, that kind of takes me like, it's a trance-like state in a shamanic ritual in some weird swamp, new age thingamajiggy. I think that was too good to pass. Yeah, very nice snare, very snappy. What I also like about these is that these will blend in a very nice way with like a lot of orchestral elements and things of that nature. They're sitting in a nice place that you could take them to more like a band context, definitely into like jazz and any genre where you kind of want like a more organic, airy, breathing kind of a drum kit. But you could also process these for sure, like some like rock or pop purposes. But also what I'm thinking is like an orchestral thing. So if I want to pair some snares or kicks with orchestral elements, these are sitting in a very nice place because, again, they have that punch. They cut through very nicely, but they are open and airy and big, and they're going to sit very nicely with orchestral elements without sounding like there's just like a drum kit pushed on there and it's like too upfront. So these are super nice for that. I can't go past that snare. Super nice kick. I love that snare, but again, that kick. It's a beautiful, soft, establishing, puffy, breathing thing just down there below where it needs to be and nowhere else. Super good. I gotta check that out just for the kick. I mean, how do they even do that? Let me check my scope. Yeah, like bang on 50 hertz, big peak, and then this nice supporting kind of, what would you call that? Kind of like a, what do you call those bridges with hanging bridge? What are they called? Jeez. Anyway, the Golden Gate type, you know the type. Let me know the word. Beautiful. But this is a big 50 hertz bump, but still we have space on the output and it sounds huge. I'm going to use that. I mean, so this is coming from a Remo, I guess you say. Remo djembe. Beautiful. That's so nicely done. That's, again, so good for like cinematic orchestral purposes as well. Yeah, I mean, that sounds really good. It says Zildjian. I don't actually know. Childian. Chill. Like in Finland, I realized I've probably never said that in English. Like in Finland, it's been years since I said that name. It's been years since I saw that symbol. Childian. Childian we say in Finland. Childian. Zildjian. How do you... Let me know how you say it in English-speaking countries. Yeah, but that's kind of like processed into something very sparkly. Cool. We went through all the kits. Again, what we didn't go into are the menus. Again, so, well, might as well. So let me, let's open bongos there. So bongo menu, we have opened up. And as you can see, there's a lot of bongos here to go through. But you see different colored zones with different things. And you can always read them from the bottom here, what they're doing. But this is a way to open up all of them. So this is where you would go if you just wanted to introduce one single percussive instrument into your track. Pretty simple. Again, here you can see in the instruments the different bongos loaded up in here. For each of those, you can do mix, pattern, mapping, setup, as we did in the beginning, checked out. But yeah, not much more to that. As you can see, there's a lot of menus, and in here you get a lot of different types of that type here that you opened up. Let's see if let's open up congas here, for example. Yeah, so there's a lot to go through here. I think my brain and body is shutting down at this point, so probably not going to be very useful to play a lot of stuff here. I want to check out the djembes though, just quickly. So obviously each one of these is like a, as it says, kind of a tone of its own. So you would ideally kind of combine these into kits. So yeah, I mean, you can always tell what it is at the bottom where the text comes up, so you can combine articulations as you wish. Anything specific here? Okay, that's very loud. Sorry about that. Kalimba. Let me check that out. Feels really good to play something melodic for. I've been playing like percussive things for like days now, so I'm like, ooh, melody. What is that? Chords, pattern. You know, yeah. Anyway, sounds beautiful. I love that. My brain is so short circuited at the moment. I was like, kalimba. I know that name, but I was like, it is melodic in my subconsciousness. I was like, let's get it in there and play that. Very nice. I love this slight, subtle rattling. It's very, very pleasant. Actually, this layout is pretty interesting because you can kind of dual wield here. I like that. It's a nice blend for like a very held together tone, but then you get those little rattlings there, which I really like from the kalimba. So that's very cool. Anything else that kind of sticks out to me? I really love rain sticks. Very nice. Again, beautiful imaging, beautiful sense of like tactile, kind of transient popping there. Okay, yeah, so that's a lot of the stuff that we went through. A lot of shakers, snares, tambourines, whistles. Let's do whistles. Okay, those kind of whistles. Okay, I get it. I do want to check the wood blocks. I love how it says wood blocks. Wood blocks, plastic. Beautiful. Okay, yeah, I'm getting pretty bad pains in my shoulder blade there. It's all the mouse holding cramps up. Let's check out Zegue Baldes, because I have no idea what this is. Okay, so a certain type of a shaker. Cool. All right, but indeed, you got the menus there when you want to pull things up. And also, again, each of these menus give you so many different angles on the same instrument. So well worth jumping in there, even if you're not using them, to go in and learn what those instruments do. Cool. Well, that's it. To summarize this, Again, the Latin rock percussion is a name that's apt, but I feel like this is still so much more than that. It does basically, when you look at the grooves, it gives a really good idea of what it like immediately 10 out of 10 caters to in terms of any of your percussive needs. So again, Afro-Cuban, Brazilian, Caribbean, Latin, and Polar, which admittedly I don't know what that specifically means. Smith, then there's like the kind of more songwriter style of things. But basically anything, when you're looking at any of these percussive elements, which obviously can be used in so many different genres, that this is kind of like the Latin rock percussion in that sense kind of undersells what this can do, although it is kind of quite descriptive to a big part of this library and does that extremely well. I don't know how I would have named it or marketed it. It's kind of like they said, this is like a really big library. So for sure, it's difficult to package a lot of that. But for example, there's somebody in the shower upstairs, so if you hear that running water, it's not me pissing my pants, but rather the shower running up there. There's a sauna right up here, which is the most Finnish thing you'll ever hear in your life. But again, like cajones, those are used in so many different genres. Anything, like they say, anything, if you have like pop, folk, what was I going to say? Pop, folk, rock, jazz, anything where these things are used, this is going to be a really good like treasure trove of percussive elements to throw in there. Like I could really trust this one to, if I was working in any of those genres, and also obviously the ones we already touched on, the more sort of geographic centered genres and styles, this takes care of that no problem. I don't think I've ever seen a library that caters to such a percussive library that caters to such a wide set of things. But again, when you look at this, it's basically whenever you need to pull out a percussive element that's like, skin and wood and metal and anything in that department, this thing can take care of. And also one of the things too that I think I got like a under catered impression was the drum kit side of things. This was quite comprehensive. Like if you're really into the drum sounds in here, I think the pricing is very appealing just to justify like the drum kits alone. Like there aren't I don't want to make a statement about that. Like from the kits, I got the impression that there aren't like a ton of different drum kit or drum kit adjacent elements, but it was certainly quite a bit. Like I didn't get the impression, and also what was good about it is that it's a really nice mix of things. I didn't hear any repetition in these kits whatsoever. And there are, how many are these? 3, 5, 10, 15, about 20, about like 30 kits. Didn't hear any repetition. So that's a pretty good set of things. Obviously, not all of them were like drum kit things. There were some mixed in things in there. But The drums were really, really solid. If you're going for that kind of, again, a very clear, polished, airy, natural kind of sounding thing, then that's really nice, the torpedo. Then this is very much worth considering. You just get so much in here that it's kind of difficult to even sum up. But like I said, the kits were like, if you're doing kind of pop in a certain style, or kind of, what's the word? Like jazz, soul, anything in that sort of a sphere where you want an acoustic kit that's kind of airy, organic, and it blends very nice with other acoustic elements. Really good. And obviously, as a composer who does like orchestral, epic kind of things as well, very good for those kind of things, because that kind of drum kit sound is because it kind of punches through very nicely. It's very present, but it's airy, it breathes. It's very nice. So it's going to blend with a lot of like orchestral percussion super, super easily and well. And also, everything here is very, very nicely tuned. Like, without exception, almost all of the kick drums or kick drum adjacent elements are superbly well done. They have a big, puffy, warm, established, strong low end, but nothing else, like nothing you don't need. So they're not going to be fighting with your snares or your toms. And a lot of those kicks were super big. They're like cinematic big. So obviously I'm thinking, for what I do, immediately about that orchestral context. Superbly good. And the snares, insanely good. The cymbals, I didn't hear a ton of different ones in here. I mean, we saw some of the cymbals here as we went past them. But some insanely good sounding rides. That Istanbul 22-inch ride, stellar, just incredible. Perfectly sampled maps here. I can play it like a real one. I don't feel like anything is missing. And also the Sabian 18, I think it was an 18-inch hi-hat, if I didn't read wrong, but beautiful sounding. I will say Kluwak seed pods here from this perspective looks a bit, it reminds me of something. What could it be? But as you can see, a lot of really unique, weird things in here that you will struggle to find anywhere. And even if you did find it, is it going to be performed and captured as well as this? No. This is like, the sampling here is just stellar, stunning. And in general, the sound is like very natural, kind of like polished raw is how I would put it. They're not like raw in a very, very untouched sense, but like very professionally natural and polished. And again, the air, that I can hear air move. It's such a important thing for me when it comes to great sounds. Sorry, I was off-put by avocado there, but it is a shaker indeed. Shaker banana. Yeah, you can probably get an idea of all of the... They have like, what is this, like 20 different shakers or whatever. Or even more. I don't know. Yeah. So this is definitely, if you're looking for like a one-stop shop, a one thing to rule them all when it comes to anything percussive in the kind of range that we talked about, I can't think of anything that does this. This is kind of, in a way, kind of cleverly positioned, because there are a lot of things in here that obviously go hand in hand with the, again, there's like Afro-Cuban style, Brazilian style, anything in that kind of zone of the world, Caribbean, anything in that realm, this thing like does just like that. And the nice thing about it is that they, flex easily into other adjacent genres as well. The grooves are super, super nice. Most of them cater to the kind of like more traditional stuff out of the gate. Again, we have to remember that there are other rhythm patterns in there as well, because when you go in the patterns here, you can load different stuff. So we just basically tried some of the things that come out of the gate, but it's anything in that department that you need, it's done just like that, and really, really well done. Again, they groove. None of the grooves are, because the fear is always like, is it going to be kind of like sterile, boring, just super standard bread and butter kind of stuff? And it isn't. Like, these groove super, super nicely. If you want to go super traditional, it's going to be there. But I liked that there's a lot of like weirder, more groovier stuff in there as well. And yeah, I was really I would love to experiment more with the patterns when it came to the kits here, because those sounded really, really good. So you don't just have to go like super traditional with the percussive things, but you can also kind of take some of the groove elements and bring them to the context of a drum kit, which is super nice and useful for a lot of people, I'm sure. Cool. And also in the ensembles, like some of the like mystery box and stuff like that, I loved a lot of the weird ethereal holographic things that kind of made me took me into that kind of swamp shaman ritual kind of a place. Very, very nice. So I do love the edge case sounds in here as well, because that's probably caters the most to my style and the things that I tend to write, but super useful for that kind of thing as well. So cool. I guess that's my summary here. It's kind of hard to wrap this up because it is so big and comprehensive, so I'm trying to remember everything and scroll through here. But this is a very, very powerful collection, and for these specific percussive instruments, I can't really think of anything else that offers this kind of like width, this wide of a selection. And again, it's sampled superbly, very clear, open, natural sound. So if you're in need of those things, I can't think of anything else that offers you that. Cool. So this has been out for a few days now, so still a few days to go until the end of the month. So if you want to grab the intro price, that's available until the 31st of May 2026. So end of this month as of filming this thing. But it's been out for some time now. I'm sure some of you have this. So let me know what you think. And of course, as always, let me know what you think of this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.